It's January the 3rd. This is my video diary number 2, and this covers the first full 2 days of the diet. So how much weight have I lost? How am I doing it? What am I eating? There's 1 week to go until my hospital appointment. So how do I feel about that? Come with me and find out. Welcome to the YouTooSpain video diary. Hi, Scats here. First of all, a huge thank you for the really positive response to video diary number 1. You're all so very kind. It turns out that quite a few of you have had colonoscopies as well, so your advice and experiences, they've really helped me, and thanks to all of those of you who said how great it was to get this subject out in the open. There's not enough people talking about it, so if I can help anyone by continuing to share my experiences and my fears and my thoughts and my opinions about the Spanish health system, then that's got to be a good thing. There's only one person said, "Oh no, I don't want to hear the details, I don't want to hear the gory details on YouTube." The rest of you said, "Go for it, mate." So I will. If it makes anyone feel uncomfortable, then sorry, it's a small price to pay. It's Wednesday right now. The first video was recorded and released on Monday, I think, and I think I'll release this on Thursday or Friday this week. Haven't worked out a regular schedule for the diary videos yet. I'll probably end up doing just one a week eventually, because that's the sort of thing that people like to have, a regular day, so that they know when the video's coming out. But I'm hitting the ground running on this thing with a few more per week because the hospital appointment's coming up very soon. Yesterday, all I did was set up my phone in here and recorded a coffee-fueled report on my progress. I went off on quite a lot of tangents because I wasn't working to any kind of script, so it was quite funny. I'll show you some bits of that in a minute, after which I will return and give you a progress report right here in front of this lovely Computer sunset. That will be about today's weight, about how I feel and what I've been up to. But first, I'm going to respond very briefly to the important question a few of you asked, which is, what diet am I on? How am I intending to lose weight and get more healthy? Well, I'm doing the same thing I did during the lockdown in 2020. So I know it works. That's a good thing. It's a combination of a low-carb diet and intermittent fasting. The low-carb part you might know as keto. That's actually a very low-carb regime. I'm going to go into more detail as the weeks go on and as the diaries go on, and when you see it working. As you can hear in my voice, I have confidence in it. Liz and I did a lot of studying of the research that doctors and sports nutritionists have done before we started, and even more as we went along, and we adjusted what we were eating to suit our own situation and our own metabolism, the amount of exercise we were doing, etc. I'm not going to lecture you all about it or try to persuade you to do it. That's not what this is about. I'm not selling you anything. This is just a diary of my own experience. So I'll try not to get up on a soapbox and preach the gospel of keto, but I'm not going to promise to hide my enthusiasm either. If anyone wants to join me and Liz on the journey, then you're very welcome. So what's keto all about? In a nutshell, it's about changing the fuel that your body burns for energy from sugar to fat. And when you cut down heavily on the carbohydrates, that's what breaks down into the sugars, the basic sugars like glucose and fructose, then your body switches to burning fats instead. It's called ketosis or ketoacidosis. I'm not sure on the definitions of those terminologies, so apologies on that. Maybe we'll go into that on another show. So if you balance the levels of carbs and fats and proteins correctly for your own body, then the fat that you've got stored under your skin and around your internal organs, which is more important, that gets used up, it gets burned up for energy. There's a lot more to it, and I'll also be dispelling some myths about it in future videos, because there's a lot being said about keto online, in social media, etc. But if you have any questions, ask away in the comments, and if I can answer them, I will. Liz is more the expert on keto. She's become a keto coach, and she's running sessions online to guide people and talk to them as they go through the process and change their eating habits and get more healthy. So anyway, if you want to find out about that, then get in touch, ask in the comments, and I'll leave a link to what she's doing. I also mentioned intermittent fasting earlier, so what's that all about? In a nutshell, because we like nuts, fasting of course means not eating, but intermittent fasting means doing that for a certain number of hours per day. For example, you can do what we call a 16-8 fast, which means that you fast for 16 hours and eat in the 8-hour window that's left. So you might have your first meal at 10 o'clock in the morning and your last one at 6 o'clock in the evening, and then you fast until 6 a.m. the next day. You can still drink water or tea or coffee during the fast. That's what we do anyway. In fact, I think it's very important to keep hydrated. I'll give you some other very useful hints and tips to avoid headaches and tiredness when you're fasting and doing keto as we go along. These two I'll call them eating regimes rather than diets. They work really, really well together for a very important reason. When I tell people I'm fasting for 16 hours or more and missing breakfasts, the usual reply that I get is, "Oh, I could never do that. I'll be starving and cranky and it would be all horrible." And that's because the thing that makes you hungry is the carbohydrates. That's a very simplified statement. Again, if you want to know more, keep following the diary. But basically doing keto means you don't have that same hunger problem that you get when your blood sugar goes up and down dramatically all the time when you're eating and not, and etc. So it makes fasting a lot easier. Right then, let's find out what I weighed yesterday morning. So coming up, here's the coffee-fueled rant that I mentioned earlier. I recorded it with the door open behind me, so the noise that you can sometimes hear is from the building site across the way there, but don't worry, you get used to it. And I'll be back here in a moment to give you today's weight and show you what I ate, how I feel, and also give you that one huge tip about avoiding tiredness. So don't go away. Take it away, scats from yesterday. I weighed myself this morning and I got a reading of 180.8. Now it was 184.4 yesterday, so I make that 3.8 pounds. Now that might sound like a lot, and if that was not at the start of a diet, it would be a dangerously large amount of weight to lose. All doctors and nutritionists would agree on that. When you're going from a high carb diet and overeating at Christmas and New Year, there's a lot of water retention when you're eating carbs, basically. This is why when you go on a low carb diet, a keto diet, and also on fasting, the weight just tends to fall off you. So that's the weight news. I'm sitting in my studio at the moment. Actually, I feel quite free. I'm just looking at my t-shirt. Normally, as you can see up there, this is my green screen. I use that for the shows so that I can have all these wonderful backgrounds in there, so I draw that across. But of course, when that's up there, I can't wear stuff like this because it's green and you'd be able to see straight through it, which would look quite funky, but it's basically limited what I can do, and I can't have the door open as well when I've got the green screen. So in the summer it can be a bit madly hot in here. Let's just show you the lights. This is the studio. Where's the light? Yeah, that white thing up there. That's one of those big photographer's lights. There's my normal studio microphone. I'm just using the one on the phone today. I have another light up there, which is the one that shines on the top of my head. And there's also one behind there with a monkey hanging on it. So, what am I doing today? Should I tell you the state of my stools this morning? That feels really stupid. But no, because I'm not eating very much. Obviously, with the fasting and the low carb, there's not a lot coming out. But yesterday, I was, what we say in this house is we're peeing for England, which basically means that every time, while I was editing the video yesterday, the number one video diary, I was rushing downstairs to the loo every 15-20 minutes, which is just not right. But that's what happens when you're getting rid of the water that you normally retain when you've got a high carb diet, and you do end up peeing it all out. So I had to drink quite a lot of water. I didn't drink enough. So by the time it got to about 10 to 6, when I finally left the office, I had a stinking headache. So I have to keep myself hydrated today. This is one of my usual bottles that you'll recognise. This one was from Granada. Used to have a Granada written on the lid, but don't know what's happened there. Anyway, cheers. I'll have more of that later. I think, as you can hear in the background, it sounds like there's a lawnmower going. And I just had a theory actually this morning when I had some power tools at the house just over the road at the back there. If you're the sort of person who's emigrating to improve your life, I would hazard a guess that you're also the sort of person who likes to improve whatever it is you move into when you arrive. So that makes you the sort of person with maybe a slightly high metabolism who can't stop when you retire and you want to work on your house. So you'll find that a lot of the people around here I know have made up their house and they've done lots and lots of work and they just can't stop doing it. So it's fine, you get used to it. I'm not complaining about any of these kind of things because I do feel so privileged. I feel lucky to live in such a beautiful place and the people are wonderful as well. Anything else to tell you? Well, this is why I want to lose weight, because look at this guy here. That's me. And it's not been photoshopped, well, apart from the lettering on there. And there was actually some lettering on the shirt that I had removed because it's one of the YouTooSpain It Depends t-shirts. I thought in order to do the poster so I could put the Scatsman on there, I had to Photoshop that off. But basically what I'm saying is I haven't changed the shape of me. That's not an Ed Sheeran song. He did, he wrote that about me, you know, the shape of you, Scats. But look, I'm quite slim there. And that was done in the summer, so the weight has only just arrived. I have to blame myself for it, of course. Eating is what has caused it, and lack of exercise has caused it. But the problem with my bowels has had quite an impact on the level of activity that I'm doing because of the discomfort. I keep calling it pain, but it's not. There's not that much pain, except occasionally when it's a bit sharper and it wakes me up at night. That's played a big part. But in the last 2 days, I've started to set my mind to doing more exercise. Oh yes, one more quick more thing. That makes sense. This Saturday, I think I have an exciting guest. She's one of the Business First networking group that I told you about on the Christmas show. She wasn't able to be there for the Christmas show, so you're going to meet her on Saturday. She's called Maiken. She's from Denmark, and she has a great story to tell about her journey from being in Denmark to being here. And she has a fitness job. So that's very appropriate at this time of year and very appropriate for what I'm doing with my own health. And we will talk about her story. Look out for that. Bye for now. Peace and love. Thank you, Scats. So that was yesterday. Now let's look at my weight reading from this morning. As you can see, it was 179.5 pounds on the little app that's attached to my scales, which is 1.3 pounds down from yesterday. When I told you yesterday that it was 3.8 pounds, I think I got the maths wrong. I should have said 3.6 pounds that I lost in the first day. Never mind. The total is now 4.9 pounds. That's altogether in 2 days. My intermittent fasting routine is about an 18.6 or 19.5. Remember, the second figure is the eating window. I'm waiting until after midday in general for my first meal, which, as you can see here, is more of a snack. I had just cheese, walnuts and what you might call pork scratchings in England. But these ones in Spain that I got, they're more like deep fried rind, which might not sound very appealing, but I like them, and they're actually very light and crispy. So I also had a cup of coffee, and I added some pouring cream to that because cream in the right quantity is very much a keto food. If that sounds very odd to you, that's because you've been told your whole life that fats are bad and sugars are yummy. Only one of those is totally true. I'll talk about that in the coming weeks. The other thing you see on this plate is a fairly large measure of salt. That's bad for you, Scats. Well, not necessarily. When you're drinking plenty of water, eating less and not eating the loads of carbs and processed foods full of salt, you actually need to add salt to your diet because body salts are necessary and important. And I've learned in the past how much I need to ingest to stop the headaches and tiredness. If you're familiar with keto websites and apps and groups, you'll have heard about keto flu, which is this drained, tired, listless feeling you get as your body flips into ketosis. But this can be avoided with the right amount of salt, and make sure, of course, you're getting the other body salts from the foods you're eating. I think it's magnesium and potassium, the important ones. There might be more. We'll find out. Right, so that was my top tip for the day. I've rabbited on a lot about the diet, but you did ask, so there it is. One more thing. I said I was going to tell you how I feel right now. So here goes. I'm feeling good about the diet and the weight loss. That's working well. I've actually got more energy already than I had a few days ago, which is really good. I'm not short of breath when I'm tying my bootlaces anymore. That only happened sort of just before Christmas, as I was eating loads and bloated all of the time. But that's gone now. I'm noticing, not for the first time, that I have discomfort up here after eating my small lunch, and even more after drinking water in the morning. That suggests there might be something going on further up my digestive system as well as down the bottom end. I know it's not acid reflux. So anyway, I'm feeling a little bit worried about communicating all of this to my doctor and the hospital. I'm slightly worried that that's why it took so long to get an appointment. Maybe I was playing it down every time I went to the surgery for an appointment and I was doing blood tests and everything. It's difficult to tell when Spanish isn't your first language. My doctor does speak some English, but we were kind of translating for each other and using the translation app on the phone, and so you might lose information in the translation. Has that happened to you? I'm sure it has, if you've lived over here and you've not spoken Spanish very well before you arrive. So do you worry about missing out on important things like that? And that goes two ways. Have I missed out on any information that the doctors told me? Have they missed out on any of the information I've told them? I'm also apprehensive of not just the hospital appointment, but the day leading up to it, because I have to take the medication the night before to flush me out. And then again on the afternoon leading up to the appointment. I've been saying to everybody, oh, it's okay, I'm used to having diarrhea and sitting on the loo for ages, but really I'm not sure what to expect and how long. My system's going burp, anticipating what was going to happen. How long is it going to last? How long does it take to flush it out? Am I going to be sitting there for 2-3 hours? Should I take a book? Should I bring a table along to put my laptop on and do some work while it's happening? Is that going to be possible? The worry about that is starting to keep me up at night, which is silly. Why should I be worried when I don't have any control over that right now? It would just be nice to know. I've got the Saturday show and 2 gigs coming up, so I don't want to be tired when I'm doing those, but I already feel a little bit drawn out when that discomfort happens and when I've not slept well. And that's actually a long-term thing. It's been happening for at least a year now, so what that's doing to my physical health and my mental health, I'm not totally sure, and maybe I'm not admitting to it fully. Don't know. Sometimes you've got to think a lot about these things, and sometimes somebody's got to remind you of what you're doing and what you're not doing, and ask you the right question at the right time to get the right information. So anyway, I'll keep you updated with all of that. Let's finish with something lovely, shall we? Here's a very short piece of video showing where Liz and I went this afternoon, and you'll meet little Minnie the dog at the end. Thanks for watching. Peace and love. See you in the next video.